teşekkür ediyorum Kıbrıs Türk Mimarlar Mühendisler Odası'na ve Kimya Mühendisliği Odası'na. Halil'le özellikle teşekkür ediyorum. Halil bizim eski öğrencimiz. Çok memnun oldum bu vesileyle. I will continue my talk in English. Today I'm going to talk about the development of solar hydrogen energy systems. So the topic will be a bit different than what we have taught today, but I hope that it will help for us to think and imagine what will be the future applications and what will be the solutions in the 21st century. So today a lot of presentations were on renewable energy strategy, but we haven't talked about the biomass to energy conversion. So in the first part of my presentation I will tell you about the biomass, what's the importance, because it is also a usage of solar energy, and the production of biohydrogen directly from biomass. And I will mention about a European project that we also, as Middle East Technical University, was a part of it, collaborate, and the results of that. Then I will introduce the hydrogen energy system. It's a developing technology. The power to gas, which is what we mean as electrolysis of water, and gas to power, what we mean as hydrogen and oxygen in fuel cells to produce electricity. I will also mention about PEM fuel cells, the development and the technology that we have developed. And finally, some of the applications already commercialized as hydrogen fuel cell cars, and some concluding remarks. So the renewable energy in Turkey, well, in summary, we import a lot of energy sources, but it seems like that we have enough renewable energy sources, so we need of course, transition from the recent system to a future application. Well, biohydrogen is not an energy source, but hydrogen is an energy carrier, like electricity. So it requires a primary energy source, such as wind, solar, or biomass, and from these we produce hydrogen. So here, of course, when we have biomass, it can be converted to different energy sources by application, either high temperature or low temperature applications. And in these applications, water content is very important. If the water content is low, either by pyrolysis or burning or gasification, we can convert it into different products. Oils, gases, tar are some of the products. Now it is, well, we know that biomass is very valuable, so biorefinery in chemical engineering technology is becoming very important because some of the valuable materials can be produced from biomass. And at low temperature with high water content, by fermentation, we can produce either methane, which we know as biogas, and it's a very well-known technology now, and also hydrogen, which is a developing technology. So the possible energy circuits as a bioanalog strategy has been discussed for carbon neutral energy technology systems, for sustainable energy economy. Well, in this graph, we try to show that the energy coming from the sun can be utilized to produce biomass, and from that hydrogen, and also hydrogen can be produced by photovoltaics, by waves, by let's say wind energy. Well, let me talk a bit about the fermentation processes. First of all, there are algae and cyanobacteria, which do not need any biomass. They directly convert solar energy to hydrogen and oxygen. So they directly use the light energy. And this is a developing process. It has certain disadvantages. Still, they produce hydrogen and oxygen together. So separation of these two, of course, from each other is an important challenge. In fermentative hydrogen production, we have two types of fermentative hydrogen production. One is called the dark fermentation, and the other one is called the light fermentation. Well, what we combine is sugar compounds. We can produce organic acids and hydrogen. And in the second part, it requires some light energy to convert the organic acids into hydrogen. Well, this brings us to a project which is called High-Evolution Project. It's a non-thermal production of pure hydrogen from biomass. It took place between 2006 and 2010. It was a 5-year project. It was one of the biggest projects which has been supported maybe in the world. And a lot of countries, universities, SMEs, and institutes takes place. And we had a support, overall 10.4 million euro. And as METÜ in Ankara, we had the share of photofermentative hydrogen production. Well, in this process, as I described, we had two different fermentation. In the dark fermentation, only 1/3 of the total theoretical hydrogen can be produced, but the 2/3 of the hydrogen can be produced in the photofermentation stage, which we were working on it. Now, why I included this? Because, as you see the solar bioreactors, there are different types of bioreactors that we have developed, the panel type or the tubular type. Well, these type of reactors are already known in algae production, but the difference in biohydrogen that it requires an environment which does not include any oxygen. So it's a non-anaerobic system. But just two examples to show you that these bacteria can produce hydrogen either in winter time or summertime. And of course it is much better in the summertime. And it requires some cooling during the summertime. So again, these were all challenges that we had to solve. Well, at the end, I will show you two slides. What about the situation? Well, here in this diagram, we show you the requirements of a feedstock production area. Of course, this feedstock production area is not required if you're using let's say, waste material, waste of agricultural waste, let's say, forest waste, whatever. Well, the wastes we worked on it were either very strong potato peels or sugar industry side products. So in that case, of course, we don't have this feedstock production area. But let us compare the area requirements for the photofermenter and also the photovoltaic, and also compare it with the biogas. Well, unfortunately, the technology is not ready yet, and the photofermenters required quite a large area. Besides, in the economics, it required a big share in the cost. So this brought us that about 90% of the cost was coming from the photoreactors, that this technology needs further development to get rid of this cost loss. Okay, well, let me summarize the situation right now. International Energy Agency has a hydrogen implementation agreement, and we were a partner of this agreement within the years of 2006 and 2014, and this still is going on. This agreement is still going on. So there are countries from Brazil to Japan to Korea, and every year 2 times they meet and they share their findings and their projects. Well, biohydrogen studies are especially going very strongly in the Asian, especially in the Far Eastern countries. So I believe that some of the improvements will go on, and in future, maybe our young students will meet with such a development in their country, or maybe they will hear about them. So this is again something in the 21st century that we need to go further. Well, this slide is just trying to show that we didn't give up. We changed the design of the photoreactor. Since the area was a problem, we just used a stacked U-type, U-tube type photoreactor, and better results we received about the required area. Now let's come to the hydrogen energy system. Well, as I told you, hydrogen needs a primary energy source, like wind turbines or PV systems that produces electricity from renewable part, and you have an electricity which is you don't want to use, or you cannot use it anymore. So this extra energy can be used with electrolyzers to produce hydrogen, and hydrogen can be converted to electricity anytime, whatever the need is, and this electricity can be used. Of course, in between, we need to store hydrogen. So this storage becomes an important issue. So let me show you the project going on in Germany, in Uli. I took this slide from Professor Stolten. Well, this diagram shows in January the change in the electricity production. Some of them are given to the grid, and there are times that electricity is not enough, and there are also times that it is over the need. The orange orange one shows the demand. So demand is almost the same for every day. Of course, it's changing from day to night. But what about this changing situation in the electricity production? We have talked about connecting a grid. Will it solve the problem? Well, now Germany is especially trying to solve this problem by the production of hydrogen. So here, in the, let's say, wind turbines or the power generation by the power plants or let's say PV units, it is connected to grid. But then with the electrolyzers, it is water is converted to hydrogen and oxygen, and hydrogen is developed underground, which is, as you store natural gas, hydrogen can be stored. There's not much difference. So the storage is not really a big problem. And then this hydrogen can be either used for power to gas. That means you can mix it, use it as hydrogen, or mix it with natural gas and give it to the pipeline, or power to fuel. Well, synthetic fuels are also again in the picture. So hydrogen and carbon dioxide can form methanol, and from methanol any petrochemicals can go on and can be produced. It is just raw material for that industry. Well, so this is with the data under development. I know that some of my students are doing PhD in England and in Italy. They are working on the development of such systems. And I hope that in Turkey or also in northern Cyprus, we can do such studies for the extra produced power. And I'm sure that we can find a solution. So I also would like to talk about the regenerative fuel cell. Well, in the regenerative fuel cell, it's a smaller application, like a house, let's say. During the daytime, with the PV system, electricity is produced, it's not used. So with the electrolyzer, we convert it into oxygen and hydrogen. And during the night time, it is with the fuel cell, it is converted to electricity, and that is how the day and night can be balanced. So is there such a ready system? Well, I don't know anyone who is selling that, but I always think that whatever your needs are, we have to design it and we have to make such a, let's say, construct such a system, and I'm sure that there are such applications in the world. Well, let me talk about electrolysis. Electrolysis, water electrolysis. There are basically three types: alkaline electrolysis, electrolyzers, PEM electrolyzers, and solid oxide electrolyzers. Alkaline electrolyzers are very well known, and here on the board you can see that they use nickel catalysts, and the capacities are even to 1 or 2 megawatts. Electrolyzers have been produced, and their price is around 750 euro kilowatt to 1,000 euro kilowatt. So these are very, very well known. PEM electrolyzers are under development. They also have price, but their cost is greater than alkaline electrolysis. Of course, when we compare them, there are some advantages and disadvantages, but the PEM electrolyzers seem to have quick startup, quick shutdown, and safe operation, whatever. So these are under development. And solid oxide electrolyzers are in the lab scale. Well, the hydrogen technology, as I say, it's a developing technology, but it's a well-known technology. How well-known? Because all the space shuttles use hydrogen as the energy source. And anywhere where you don't have air, like submarines, submarines work with hydrogen. So in our future, I don't know how close to us, but if we go to another planet or any space travel, hydrogen will be always the fuel. And water, I mean having water, then solar energy, so hydrogen will be the source. So electrolyzers are very important in the first step. What about the fuel cell? Well, the fuel cell, which converts hydrogen and oxygen, which combines hydrogen and oxygen, and produces water. So a lot of chemistry this time, well, but it's one of the simplest equation. We have different types of fuel cells. PEM fuel cells, which are under development, almost all of them. But I'm very glad to say that some of them are commercialized. When we started in 1990 to work on hydrogen energy and try to develop PEM fuel cells, it was not commercialized yet, and we had to work a lot. But I'm so glad that we worked on such a subject, because in Turkey now we own the technology, so we can produce fuel cells. So this is really something, if you start a technology in the beginning, so you catch the world, that's something very good. Well, the fuel cells are changing according to the membrane that they have in between. The fuel is the same for all of them, and also if you just can see, I don't know, the temperature changes from one cell to another. I don't want to go into details, but just the basic idea is this one. Hydrogen is coming to the anode side. It is divided into its protons, and protons pass through a membrane and pass to the cathode. And in the cathode side, oxygen in air is reacting with hydrogen to produce water, and water leaves the cathode side. So this is the simplest thing. But how do we produce such a fuel cell? So it requires a lot of layers, and in the beginning, in 1990s, it was very difficult to find all these materials, and the technology was not enough. But it's already 27 years past, and now we can now produce these different layers. So what is very critical is the catalyst we use here, and also how we prepare. This is a membrane electrode assembly, what they call. It is just inside, and it's the heart of the fuel cell. My students developed a technique in our laboratory, so we can produce this membrane electrode assembly. At first, we prepared very small, 5 centimeter square area MEAs, but now with the technology we developed, we can produce up to 400 centimeter square membrane electrode assemblies, and we use an ultrasonic coating machine for that. Also, my students could develop the test stations and the required equipments. Well, unfortunately, we right now have the performances close to the, which are comparable. Of course, one cell is not enough. We need to produce a stack. We have to bring all these together. In 2004 to 2014, there was a United Nations supported International Hydrogen Energy Institute in Istanbul, and they had supported certain projects, and one of the projects that they had supported, we worked on it. It was a development of a 3 kilowatt PAM fuel cell prototype. So in this project, we worked with different universities and also the companies from Technocant. And finally, we had achieved to prepare a stack. And also the system, the stack is not enough, but it requires some auxiliary equipments. And finally, we could produce the fuel cell. Well, this was in the year of 2012. And since that time, those companies now have connections with European research teams, and also in Turkey, they are now producing much larger fuel cells and fuel cells. So let us go to the applications, fuel cell applications. Well, the very well-known application which has developed among these years is the application to the automobiles. So these pictures are from a World Hydrogen Energy Congress which took place in Essen, Germany in 2010. So the blue car is a Volkswagen, and there was also a hydrogen bus just in front, you see me. So 7 years ago, Germany had some demo buses, especially in the city of Hamburg and Munich, and those buses came to Essen, and we also could travel with them. So they are quite comfortable without any noise, and of course, besides that, Germany is working on them in demo scale, because they are planning that in cities, just to eliminate the pollution made from the, gasoline cars or diesel cars. They are trying to change to the hydrogen fuel cell cars. Hydrogen fuel cell cars has certain advantages compared to the electric battery cars. And within 7 years, a lot of, I think, experience has been gained. And in this diagram, I would like to show you how in the different years this fuel cell cars has developed. And in 2014, I think first Hyundai had first commercial car, and I think last year Toyota also brought the fuel cell car. In 2016, we had another World Hydrogen Energy Congress in Zaragoza, Spain, and I could drive a BMW car, and also there was a Toyota car. So fuel cell cars, how much they enter to the car market, and what will be their success, we'll see, but it is the technology almost ready for those who are driving a car. And I hope that in future we will have one of them. Well, the concluding remarks. Well, Turkey is rich in renewable energy sources, solar, wind, biomass. So we must put our goals for future to increase the production of renewable electricity. I think this is wish of almost all of us here. Development of hybrid power plants with different generators, PV, wind, biogas, are with the conventional power plants is essential. We need to focus on forecasting and regulation processes to achieve a complete balance of electricity generation and demand. And hydrogen energy system can integrate solar cells, batteries, electrolyzers, fuel cells, and inverters. They can be operated together with the purpose of storing solar electricity and making it available anytime. The hydrogen stored can be delivered on demand. PEM-FC technology is commercialized. We need goal-oriented power system, design and manufacturing for transportation, portable applications, or submarine applications. And PEM electrolysis is in development stage and further investigations are needed. Well, I would like to thank you all listening me. So these are some pictures from my lab that we had developed in Middle East Technical University in Ankara. And all of them graduated and they are their own companies now, Mustafa, and some of them are academicians. So I'm really proud to share these pictures with you. And these are from the biohydrogen group. Well, just before I end, I would like to remind for those students in the audience, every after 2 years we organize a conference and materials for energy storage and conversion, and the next one will be this September in Cappadocia. Maybe you will be interested. There will be a summer school followed by a conference. Thank you very much for your attention. Is there any question?
Sesi büyüktür yani mikrofon olmasa da olur diye düşünüyorum.
Ama tecrübe için gerekli.
Ha, okey.
Well, I'm a mechanical engineer, and in high school, chemistry was my worst subject. Now I do understand chemistry is an important element in energy generation. I like the idea of converting solar energy into hydrogen and then storing it and reusing it. My wonder is, what will be the overall efficiency or losses during that conversion, two conversions, into hydrogen and into electricity? Thank you.
Thank you for this question. Well, the electrolyzers, depending on the type, I think they have about 55% efficiency. So that's why they are trying to develop PEM electrolyzers to increase it. But in the fuel cell, if we use PEM fuel cell, it is 60%. And if we also use its heat besides, so in that case it goes up to 80% efficiency. So compared to the Carnot cycle, the fuel cells and have much higher efficiency. But what is the overall, I mean, for example, the regenerative fuel cell, that during the daytime you produce hydrogen, store, and then change it to the, electricity at night. These are under study, and recently there are some new papers. Maybe next time I just look at them.
Dear Hocam, I think the key issue is that, as you mentioned, if the source of energy at the primary level is from fossil fuel burning power plants, then of course overall efficiency will be lower than. But here, I think the important thing is that, as you highlighted, if the primary source is the sun, then of course, say, while using sun energy, illumination, gain electricity and realize the electrolysis and then store hydrogen. Then the key point, I think, is that it enables us renewable energy. We can use renewable energy in this technology.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
the idea. Well, hydrogen is a very important chemical. It is the most produced, at least the chemicals produced in the world. It is within the first 10. Hydrogen is used a lot in chemical industry, so it's a very important raw material. But now we are looking at from the energy point of view. So the cheapest way to produce hydrogen was from natural gas, but we don't have natural gas. Here we are talking about the excess power that we give to the Earth. So instead of that, we can store it by this way and reuse it. So within the estimation of this, efficiency, this has to be considered. So thank you for this comment.
Thank you so much for talking about something other than energy politics today. My question is a follow-up question of what I asked Dr. Ibrahim yesterday. You mentioned the efficiency already. What about the duration and the cost of the electricity that you get in terms of that? And one more question I would like to know. You mentioned that the reactor that you showed us, it's similar like algae reactor. What about the material of the reactor? Does it the same or you varied that thing as well? And last thing is
just a second, I cannot keep all the questions in my mind, okay? So let me answer the question about durability, which is very important. So during our development of fuel cells, PEM fuel cells, we looked at the durability. And right now, 10,000 hours is a standard put for the PEM fuel cells, so in the cars. And of course, every day they are trying to increase it as much as possible, but this is what has been accepted. And what was the second question?
Cost of it if you compare to other sources.
Cost?
Levelized cost of energy.
Levelized cost of hydrogen. Of course, it depends completely on the cost of electricity. If electricity cost is high, hydrogen cost is high. But if the electricity cost goes down, like what Professor Tana has said, that it's much cheaper with the solar and wind renewable energy. If it's so, of course, the hydrogen cost will go down.
Last thing, since you're working in the same domain and you're a chemical engineer, I would love to know your comments about, like, he suggested ammonia, using ammonia as a fuel yesterday. What do you think about it? I just want to know what do you think about this one, this suggestion that he gave us yesterday. Thank you so much.
Well, ammonia came into the discussion many years ago, but then we had concentrated on hydrogen rather than ammonia, because to produce ammonia, I mean, in the, let's say, last years or years before, it required natural gas to produce hydrogen. And since Turkey didn't have natural gas, even all the fertilizer factories had been closed in Turkey. So we started to buy either ammonia or directly the fertilizer from those countries who own natural gas. So nitrogen is from air, I mean by air liquefaction, to produce ammonia. So it depends on the production cost of ammonia. So we have to re-evaluate it.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for your talk. My question is about the method you used for the fuel cell production. You said ultrasonic coating method. I want you to please explain a little bit more about that, as well as maybe other applications of that coating method and the substrates that you use to coat, because I'm interested in solar cell fabrication. I want to understand if it's applicable.
Okay. Well, there are many methods, coating methods, but what we had chosen was the spray technique. So we did, for example, a compressor. We have high pressure gas, and we just atomize the ink we prepare. And at first we use a spray gun. But when you use a spray gun, it depends on how your hand is fast or slow. And also a lot of material had been lost within the given area. So in this ultrasonic coating machine, it's a computer-aided. You can make a computer-aided design. So any shape you can prepare. And I know that recently it is used, of course, with the proper changes in the machine. It is used for the PV production. So if you need, maybe after the talk, I can give you the name and the company, and you can just make a connection.
Hocam, one last question.
Okay, thank you again for the presentation. So my question was, since we are using hydrogen with storage, how do you compare this type of storage cost-wise with other alternatives that are in the market?
Compare with what?
Cost-wise.
Cost-wise, compare with different, you mean different
Yes.
storage?
Storage.
Okay. Let me just briefly explain what type of storage, hydrogen storage is possible. Liquefied hydrogen in tanks, gas in tanks, metal hydrides, or just chemicals like sodium borohydrides. This can be also used as a hydrogen source. And recently, if it is, not recently, but it has been used also in Germany for many years, also underground storage, especially within the sodium chloride, let's say, beds, like the natural gas. It can be stored. So it depends on what is the capacity you need. For example, for cars, or for an automobile like Toyota, preferred liquid hydrogen instead of gas hydrogen tank because of the space it takes, and also the car can go 700, let's say, kilometers with one tank. And refilling the tank is also, this technology has been developed. Both Air Liquid and Linde has this technology. So both liquid and gas refilling is possible. But if you have a scooter, okay, a bicycle, let's say, or scooter, a small car, then metal hydride storage are used. Metal hydride storage is one of the most expensive one. Maybe I don't, we have to look at, of course, it depends on capacity and the usage. Metal hydride weight is about 1 to over 100. So metal hydride is very heavy. So, for example, for space or landless airplanes or something, we do not prefer metal hydride. So for manless for vehicles, we prefer, for example, sodium borohydride type chemical storage. So right now, depending on the case you're interested, this has to be, estimated. There is not one answer.
Thank you, Professor Inci, and we'll now move to our last presenter, and we will conclude our seminar.
Thank you.